I'm a historian. So this is the best I could do, but this became quite the story. So it might not surprise you that a woman with stage 4 cervical cancer in 1934 did not survive. And that they blamed her for it was kind of even her husband Elmer was like, yeah, honey, you got to work harder. So one night, February 11th, 1935, Edith is doing what she usually does, which is being lazy and not working. And she dies sitting up at the foot of the bed. So Elmer runs up and like, oh shit. Elmer Fudd, kind of like I see in my mind. And he's like, oh, Marie's like, well, yeah, what is it, Elmer? I just went to sleep. I've been on my typewriter. God's been having a busy day. He's telling me all sorts of shit. And Elmer's like, well, I think Edith passed. And she's like, what? I'm so surprised. And so I think she's like, I've tried to figure out if I think that Edith actually believed this. Or not Edith, sorry. Marie believed the stuff she said, or if she just was a power grab. But I think she actually believed it. She communes with her typewriter for a few minutes and decides that the heavenly creatures are telling her to go out to that cabin that's blurry in this photo. But it's an old shitty cabin. I'm sure you can imagine what that looks like. It's kind of cool now. And she goes out there and she's like, I need to commune with Edith. She touches her arm, as you can see. She says she still has a pulse. You just can't feel it because you don't have the sixth sense. Like there was a little creepy fucker in a Bruce Willis movie. Is that what we're talking about? And so basically Elmer, he's like, well, I can feel it too. I think I'm not a widow. I'm just waiting on Edith because Edith is in that William Pelly style blue world. The in-between where the unseen friends are just like doctors and they're working on her body and they're trying to convince her to come back. And so what do they start doing? Well, they got to preserve her. So for 3 months, this is kind of gross, folks, but they're anally and orally feeding her eggs and milk, right? That's not an omelet I want to try, I tell you what. Because it replaces the unhealthy cells with healthy cells. And we can tell because she's bleeding from the nose and her ass. That shows that she's healthy. The doctor would come and say, well, no, actually, that's her decomposing because you can't stop it, even if you'd like to. So they're putting oils on her, they're praying on her, they're rubbing salts on her, and so they basically turn her into a piece of jerky. And they leave her in this cabin for 3 months. And so, Helen wants to know what's happened to her mom. Elmer, her father, is still a member of the cult, so the kids can't get her body back. Frank is like, this lady's full of shit. She can't bring her back. Then later he would say, I was never into the cult. They're like, oh, Frank, you were one of the founding members, buddy. So Frank is trying to get his mom's body back. And they can't get in to see the body. And so, if you go to the next. And so that's little Helen Peshak here in Boise. Back in like 20 or something. This is Frank. And they want to know what happened to Mom. So a series of events start to happen. In 1935, they contact the San Juan County Attorney General, or not Attorney General. What's the lawyer one? A fucking lawyer. I don't know. Yeah, attorney, the district attorney, something like that. And they say, we want to see our mother's body. We want to know what happened to her. And so his name was Adam something, but he goes out there and Marie comes out. She knows he's coming and she's like, no. I can't let you see this because you're gonna make me embarrassed. Because you're gonna say that I can't actually bring people back from the dead. They're not dead. They have that silver cord that racist fucker Pelly talked about. And so guess what? She's not dead. The unseen doctor people are just fixing on her vibes, man. And when she gets her vibes right, she's going to come back. She's going to have some dry skin, that's for sure. But she's going to come back. And so Elmer Peshak says, yeah, I don't know, kids. If you don't believe, I don't want you to see your mother. And so the attorney is turned around. And so now the law in the area are kind of concerned, but they want to see if the body poses a health risk to the community. And so a doctor by the name of I.W. Allen goes out with his nurses, and Marie Ogden lets the doctor in. And the doctor comes out after 30 minutes just laughing his ass off. He goes in there, and he was like, they basically made her into a piece of dry meat. They think she's alive, but, your fat is decomposing underneath your skin, so you're basically being turned into parchment, crackly paper, and that they could tell when they touched her to feel the pulse, basically that there was no pulse, but that the skin was dry and crackly. So imagine a pork rind. And so after he's like, and he asked them about their regimen, like, well, we feed her only the most organic eggs, and then we're sure to clean the bed sheets off in the morning. I'm like, what's Elmer getting up to? Come on, buddy. Sorry, that's a bad joke. Don't judge me, Jen. You guys can. Not my friends, though. So the nurses go in. He convinces the nurses to go in because he's like, I can't believe this. And so the women that are Marie Ogden's nurses, members of the cult, they're nurses too. They're actual nurses. That's the thing about some of these cults I've been reading about. It's not dumb people that join these things. The Heaven's Gate cult, those people were smart as hell. But also not, right? I mean, like, you should have known when they were wearing Adidas that this wasn't the cult, Not fucking Run DMC, Anyway, that's too old of a reference, I guess, for some of you. But basically, the nurses go in and they're told to feel the base of Edith's feet. And when they're not able to get a pulse, they say, well, touch the crown of her head. And they're not able to get a pulse, and so they say, well, you don't have the sixth sense. And so the nurses go away laughing. But the sheriff and the law, they determine that the body poses no risk because it's so dry. If it was a moist body, yes. Moist bodies are dangerous, but dry bodies are not. So if you happen to have a corpse in your house, there actually is a story that I found that I should do a presentation on. But there was a guy in Eagle that kept his mom in a freezer. Not for any creepy reason. He wanted her money, and he wanted her, Social Security and stuff. So he just allowed them to say she wasn't dead. So, I mean, if you're frozen, that's kind of safe too, isn't it? I don't know. Just advice to you if you need it. So she's very much dead. 3 months later, people are starting to figure out there is a spate of newspaper articles in Boise and in the West that are talking about this. People are like, that's fucked up. They're right. It kind of is. But Elmer likes his wife above ground and in the cabin. And so that's how it stays for a while. But then things get worse. So there's another probe, not a feeding, a probe, like an investigation. And now they get, in 1937, even more heat from the Associated Press. And so now Marie is kind of forced to do something. She won't sign a death certificate. And she won't let the coroner in to see the body. And so what ends up happening is when Elmer is away and the followers are away doing something in town, probably buying vegetables because there's no irrigation, this guy here, what's his name? I forget his name, but it doesn't matter. Thomas Robertson, he is a lackey, and it took him until 1937 to realize that he had joined a bad organization. But But basically, Marie's like, okay, well, she decided not to come back into her mortal form. So she's going to evaporate into the ether, like kind of like the Force, like Yoda. Except first we're going to have to burn her. And so they build a pyre in a creek washout. And, well, you might not know this, but, you don't get rid of everything in an industrial crematorium. So, something made of driftwood in a creek isn't going to do all that well. So the followers are coming back from Monticello, which is the town nearest to the commune. And so Edith's sitting there talking with the unseen forces, she says. And she says, oh, well, we gotta bury this woman. So we're going to take her and we're going to put her in a crevice up in a canyon behind the cult. And we're going to roll a rock in front of her. And that's where she's going to stay. So this guy here, Thomas, he is like, well, I'm going to talk to the news. I'm going to get my little, minute of fame. And so he says that, yeah, she was cremated. And so Marie says, no, this isn't true. And well, then a reporter, a very interested reporter named Jack DeWitt, he says, well, I want to find out what really is true. And so he creeps onto the cult compound at night, and he goes up with his flashlight, and he goes up to the rocks, and he starts looking for a place where there's a stone kind of rolled into place. And he says that he finds her body. He rolls the stone out, and he said she was a half, basically burned corpse, mummified corpse. And he took a picture. And this is the picture I tried really hard to find. And, I don't know, the good people of the San Juan historical whatever didn't get back to me because they probably have like one 85-year-old worker. That's what local history is in these states, folks. And so I never got the picture, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know, it depends on your perspective. But this guy said he flashed a picture. And then what did he see? He saw a disembodied floating head of Edith telling him to take my body back to my hometown. And so, well, apparently that's what eventually happened. If you go to the next. Okay, so here is Marie signing the death certificate. She wants to do it because she's a control freak. Cult leaders tend to be control freaks. And she says, okay, where do we have here? Basically that she's not dead. Basically the cancer of the living tissue is, I don't know. Okay, so basically she said she's not really dead. She's in her, spiritual form between the two worlds. Okay. And so the authorities are like, okay, that doesn't sound right, but whatever. And eventually they get the body back, and it is buried in Morris Hill Cemetery. I don't know necessarily what is under there. I showed up with a pick and a shovel, and they didn't really... Like, it's for history, damn it! Don't stop history. Tell the truth. And I know people in the city. I used to work for the cemetery. That's how I used to hit on chicks. I'd tell them what I did. It's like, what's up, ladies? I got a burial at 3:30. So if you go to the next photo. Oh, yeah. So that's an old, that's too blurry, unfortunately, I think. But there's not a lot of great photos of this woman after she was old. But after 1937, her cult went down to like 10 people. So from a top of 100 to like 10. And she ended up dying in an old folks' home near Blanding, Utah. There's a cemetery at Home of Truth, and it had 4 people in it. A dedicated crew right there. Roll with your homies all the way to the end of the cult, the end of the road, and that's what they did. But I gotta think that at the end there, they were probably like, this chick was full of shit. I don't think she's, but I don't know, North Korea is a whole country of a cult. And you look at that chubby little fucker. You know, like, who followed Kim Jong-un, man? He's like, dude, I mean, people follow anybody. You know, it might not surprise you, but Hitler and his top brass were not very Aryan, right? But yet they got a bunch of people that were Aryan to be like, well, yeah, this is a good idea. So I don't know. People followed this woman, so good for her. What the fuck? I don't know. All she did was mummify a corpse, right? She gave a woman a little bit of hope. And she died at the age of like 90-something. Elmer Peshak stayed on as, they bought a newspaper. They bought the San Juan Record in Monticello, Utah, and they continued on at the Home of Truth. And so, it's still a paper. It's not owned by her, obviously, or her family, but Elmer Peshak became a newspaperman. And he ran that newspaper until he died in 1949. His son Frank died in 1946 of some heart ailment. And so they're all up there. All their tombstones or gravestones look the same. You know, a very chic brass look, you know. And Helen actually died at the age of like 95. Very happy in Boise. She taught at Boise High, Bora, mathematics, and I think she made the right choice. I don't know. She's the one who got through. You know, like when your family's fucking crazy, you just do the best you can. And so now I do not know exactly what of Edith is under there, if anything, at this point. But yeah, that's the tale of Edith Peshak, the mummy of Morris Hill Cemetery. That whole story could be in a big book. Like there was a BYU master's thesis written on this. That I have ADHD, so it took me like 20 hours to read this, 50-page paper. But basically, in American history, you did have this landscape of the West, right? It didn't all end well for some, but it was also a place where you could go try new wacky shit, right? Hotel California wasn't about a good time at the hotel. I think it was about drugs. Pretty sure. Graham Parsons? You better. You better too, you musicians. His friend was a good friend, lit his ass on fire in Joshua Tree. He was dead already, But people are doing crazy shit out in the desert all the time. Jim Morrison, I head out to the desert, but I don't do drugs, so it's pretty uneventful. I'm going to start. Yeah, right? If you don't shoot it, toot it. I don't know. Eat it. Yeah, I tell my friends that smoke, like, just eat it, man. Shit. Anyway, so yeah, it's kind of the history of the West, of this experimental place where you had the freedom to do what you want. That's why the Wild West was so cool, because there was no law. You can do crazy shit when there's no law around. It's not wrong if there's no law. Yeah, that's my philosophy. Any police officers in here? Right. When I have a cop on my tail, I feel secure. Thank you. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Anyway, any questions?
What was your favorite part of the story?
Oh, the eggs. Yeah. When I found this story, I was like, did they really feed this woman eggs anally? If she was alive, it's kinky. But but when she's dead, it's just a waste of good eggs. You know what I mean? Good question, sir. Yes, sir.
So Edith was basically rubbed with salt and made into a mummy?
Yeah, pretty much. She was slowly dried out. And she wasn't moist to begin with, if you know what I mean. No, don't take that out. Hey, you sick fucks, I didn't mean that. I just meant she was already in a dry climate, being rubbed with salt. Jesus Christ. What do you think this is up here? Huh? Yeah, it wasn't Himalayan organic salt either. Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with the other types of mummification?
I've known a few. You're Egyptian? No, actually, I don't think I am. What do you got?
The Discovery Center had a whole thing on mummification. It was super cool. Cool climate. Did they miss that?
It was cool that they weren't just Egyptian mummies. It was like counts from Austria. Some creepy guy with his little corn, tri-corn hat on. Yeah. Yeah, there was a cat, right? Did you just say there was a cat? Yeah, haunting him in life, or in death, just like in life. Yes, ma'am.
Was there, so Morris Hill,
Uh
right?
huh.
So was there any other people you started to explore?
Oh yeah.
There was part two.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. So I'd like to do a crazy. London and I go and film some videos, and there's a guy that started the Mossad.
Okay.
And he's right next to Frank Church, and Frank Church investigated the CIA, FBI, NSA, and the IRS, right? Yeah. I don't know. I'm I'm into this CIA kind of shit, but at the same time, when I looked at all the Frank Church Committee papers are up there at the archives, and I've looked through a few of them. And he discovered MK Ultra, and they did do some things that were decidedly undemocratic. That's for sure, especially in foreign countries. Don't look into the Vietnam period and what they did in Indonesia. That was pretty messed up. Or do. What? So his name was James Angleton. And because I worked at the cemetery and I knew the guys that dug the graves, they didn't use shovels and wear a cape and like I wanted it to be. No, they used backhoes and things like that. And James Angleton, he was the opposite of Marie Peshak. There was a large gentleman that was being buried right next to James Angleton. And so they had to move James Angleton's vault and his coffin. And so for a large, what are you pointing at? Should I not say this? Never mind, I'm not going to tell you. London said, so what happened is they cracked through James's vault on accident and got him stuck on the end of the excavator. Yeah, shaking him around there, Now, if it had been another person, I would have felt bad. But there's a movie called The Good Shepherd with Matt Damon, and and Robert De Niro, and it's 4 hours long, but somewhere in there's an entertaining movie, and it's about James Angleton. Yeah, yes, sir.
Can you tell us more about this typewriter that can speak to God?
Where is it?
Dude, I don't know. Okay, so here's one of the things that happened. When Edith died, she still had a few followers, and they burned all of her papers. And I think they destroyed some of the things that she had too. They didn't want her to be embarrassed. So apparently they didn't believe, what they believed was that we weren't ready for the new spiritual awakening because we're all lesser celestial races or whatever they say. Yeah. Hey, their bigotry was somewhat balanced. If you were stupid, you were stupid. That's what she saw. If you didn't have that sixth sense and, go up to a dead person, feel her head, see if there's a pulse. And if you can feel something, at least you got the sixth sense, apparently. I don't know. But the typewriter, sir, I don't know. I'd like to. Any other questions? Yeah.
Where can you find your gravestone
So go to find a grave and just type in Edith Peshak. It will give you the block.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of in the shadow of the mausoleum, which is creepy as shit too if you ever been in there. Oh my God. People are like, okay, so here's another thing that the guys at the cemetery taught me. We're talking about moisture. Don't go near there in a rainstorm. Whew, those things leak. Yeah. Yeah, especially the fresh openings. Yeah, I don't go in there anymore. I actually had a group of people when I worked with the Parks and Recreation. They wanted to be married there.
Describe the smell, please.
Oh, geez, Louise. Um, God, it smelled kind of like milk and eggs. Ew. To me, it reminds me of like and anal leakage. That's right, and like kind of a marshy amphibian-esque smell, kind of just fetidness. Yeah, it's gross. I try to not ever go near there. Um, yeah, and it was built in the 1930s, New Deal. Woohoo! Okay, questions? Any? Yes.
What made you start the page? Why Idaho?
Because I lived here.
What do you love about Idaho?
Oh wow. No, I mean I love Idaho. I kind of like okay. So there's a new Idaho, and then there's like the old kind of Idaho. I kind of like the like don't fuck with me, I won't fuck with you kind of mentality. But that's being gone. That's kind of gone now. I like the kind of small town spirit. Like when I go up to we went up to a place that I forget the name of. It was cool. Oh, Ola, yeah. Yeah, Ola. Yeah. I was like, you're my people. I'm Swedish. I thought I was more Norwegian, so I have a Norwegian tattoo on my chest. And then I actually did some genealogy. I'm not that Norwegian. Like, fuck you, Mom. Why didn't you tell me the truth? I'm broken. Yeah. The hair's real. So yeah, Ola. We went up to Ola. People are always really happy, like that we highlight their small town history. I feel like people don't realize Idaho is real. You know, like when I lived overseas, they're like Iowa, Ohio. Like no, fucking Idaho. You know, where the guy stood really far apart and said he just had a wide stance when he was peeing. That place. They're like, oh yeah, Senator Craig. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's like in an airport. He's like, oh, that's how I pee. I just go like that. That's how I explain Idaho to the foreigners. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. And so I did cemetery stuff for the city, and so it was interesting. I kept finding these stories, and I started doing little presentations and walks through the cemetery. But it's not like they paid me anymore. So anyway, what I ended up doing was just quitting the city. Being strongly suggested that I didn't have a good home there anymore. Again, don't tell jokes. When they tell you to say anything, don't do it. Don't do it. But it was a good thing. So I started doing this and doing tours. And I met London. I invited his sister to a creepy murder mansion at 7 p.m. with a weird hairy guy that sounded like Chong from Cheech and Chong, because I wanted him to give me pictures, or her to take pictures. And I didn't realize, like, God, that's a really creepy thing to ask of a woman that you just know from Instagram. But I had met London already at an event, and so London comes, and I'm like, I know you. And he's like, yeah, I know you. I was like, you look like Kenny G, man. And then we started talking, and I helped him make a big page. Yeah, I think it's pretty much all me. So yeah, now I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but this is fun because I'm going to do it anyway. So that's how we started it all. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any stories about the cemetery or
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's a guy that drowned in they said in a keg of beer, but he actually drowned behind a saloon where City Hall is now. He drowned in a water cistern. He was a large gentleman. They called him the Jolly German. His name was Joe Misseld, and he got stuck. And he had his chin about 8 inches below the water line, but his shoulders were too wide, and so he couldn't get out. And so the story is that he drowned in his own beer. It was actually way worse. What happened is he drowned in the cistern where they got their fresh water. And so they didn't find him for about 48 hours. And so women and children would go into saloons to get fresh water when they were downtown. And that was seen as untoward, back in the day. But this was 1878. There weren't too many options. And so I always like to end my tours with grab yourself a cup of Joe. His name was Joe. Well, old Joe put a lot of himself into his work, folks. But yeah, that happened. That's one of the burials down there. Yes, sir.
On some of your RV tours, where are places that you tend to take people? What's your popular destination?
Well, so there's a place where the Catman of Bella Street, next to the Lowell Pool. The house is still there. I would slowly drive past it with a motorhome full of people in a creepy old motorhome, and we'd all look at this house, and the people were like, what the heck? I'm like, oh, don't worry, somebody died in your room. No worries. But there's a group of teenagers in 1976 smothered an old man to death for his Social Security check. Yeah, that's a happy one. So that's one of them. And then McCleary's Pub on Orchard, we'd go in there. But those people, they don't even want you to advertise their bar. They just want people that are like, we got taco day. It's our taco day, man. They didn't want success. Yes.
Do you have any stories about Silver City?
Oh yeah, Silver City. Yeah, there's a guy named Marion. I mean, they got into fights, like pitched warfare in the mines underneath that place. There's a story of a guy, I forget, I did a post on him a while back, but he was in the mine, and one of the lifts that would take them down basically to the sub-levels wasn't working. And so he sticks his head out. The lift was working. Good news. Yeah, it was a little too well oiled, so it fell a little fast. Yeah. Yeah. He had a headache for sure. There's stories like that. There was a guy who was killed in a shootout in the alley in front of his son. And this guy name was William Dewey. He started a hotel in Nampa. We just did a post about a Emmett railway station there. He started that. Yeah, he shot a dude in front of his kid. He's just like, you talk shit. You said you could back in the day if somebody messed with you, they're like, I'm going to kill you. Well, you could go the next day and just be like, oh yeah, bam. Well, he said he was going to kill me, so I killed him. And that's what William Dewey did, right in front of a guy's kid. And the kid was like, please, sir, stop shooting my father. So that's a Silver City story. It's supposed to be haunted. Ozzy Osbourne's kid Jack went there to do a haunted investigation. I know that. I hope Ozzy's disappointed. He tried real hard to give Kelly a career. Sorry. Yes.
Okay, we've obviously gone over a lot of spooky things. In your research, has there been any Idaho stories that have given you hope in humanity instead of the fear?
Actually, yes. Okay, so this is a weird way to go to hope, but on our tour, we've done some videos about how so the state of Idaho doesn't always give you the full facts. That might surprise you. So over at the old assayer's office where the cat hunt ended, basically there was a place where the Klan would gather. And that was in the 1920s. I would like to say that does not give me hope. What gave me hope was in the 1950s. I found through researching that. We looked into the story because they found during an archaeological dig there, they found ephemera and pamphlets and things that had been thrown away. And they found those recently in an archaeological dig there. Well, since we have fans that are grad students at U of I doing that, they came up to us and like, oh, well, we're not supposed to tell you this, but we're going to tell you this. They basically are like, we found a bunch of Klan stuff, and the state doesn't want us to tell you about it. So if you've ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's that weird warehouse at the end where they put that crazy, the Ark of the Covenant. Well, that's what they do with the city of Boise. In the city of Boise, the state archives, they have a weird warehouse where they keep all the bad shit that they don't want to tell you about. So I start researching things about the Klan in Idaho, and I found a great story. I'm going to forget this guy's name, but he was a black man from Nampa. And, well, the Klan were hurting for membership in the 1960s. And so he joined via mail order. And by God, they said, well, you're now a Grand Titan of Canyon County. And they sent him I don't know what you call it, a cloak, a little hood. And they sent him a little card, an identification card that said who he was. He was a Grand Titan. Well, then this guy's like, well, I'm going to definitely fuck with him now. And so he talked to the newspapers. And so the Klan found out back east to their headquarters, like in West Virginia or something. They found out that they had just basically hired a black man to lead Canyon County's Klan. When they had in-person meetings, there were a few issues. But the thing is, in their bylaws, he had to basically go and sign a document, turn over his regalia and his cloak, and give over his card, his membership card. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. No. So he was, when he died sometime in 2008, somewhere in there, he had moved to Seattle, and he had taught the at-risk youth how to sail on the Puget Sound. And he died a full-fledged member of the Ku Klux Klan. You know? So people are like, have you ever seen the Black Klansman? I'm like, yes, I have, but it's not like that. But back in the 50s and 60s, man, that was a dangerous time to do shit like that. So, obviously he fucked with them, and he could do it out west, and moved to Seattle, and that was a happy story. See, that's as happy as I get. Yes, ma'am. Ma'ams. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. I'd rather talk about Israel and Palestine and get less heat. Yeah, I said it. That's because people get really pissed off about the tunnels. When I tell them what I've found in my research, they're like, well, my grandpa's fucking grandpa told me. But it's sealed now. There's no tunnel there. Okay, so it's like, what do you consider a tunnel system is what I ask people. Now, if you're thinking from up where, yes, there are tunnels underneath the State House. But if you want to know, I would always say I don't think tunnels have nationalities. But also, I wanted to look into this for a podcast we used to do, and I got a lot of shit. But I went to the lawyers that worked for the Chinese Tong corporations or fraternal orders, the Hip Sing and the Hop Sing, and they said, well, there's no receipts for any of the lumber that would have been needed to prop up these tunnels. There was no dirt or soil or rocks that were, it would have been tons of it. And so this whole system that went throughout all of Boise, I do not believe exists. What I do believe exists, so I know what exists was an opium den was dug where the Fort building is, the Boise National Bank building. There used to be an Oddfellows Hall next to it. Underneath that, they dug down, about 10 feet, and they created a small chamber where they would hotbox opium. It was like my friend's basement when we listened to Cypress Hill, Hits from the Bong. You remember that shit? Like, you've been smoking weed, son? No. It was cheaper. You could get high from just being in the room with your friends hitting the bong, right? That was the same idea. We use less product. You buy some time in this little box, and we have it under a trap door at the entrance of this mercantile shop in the Oddfellows building. So that was there. And then they would knock out chambers between buildings, like close blocks close to each other. And the Chinese also were like, well, this isn't a very cleanly place. In the 1880s, they built or they constructed their own sewers. They covered it with like thick lumber, and then they would cover it with gravel. But those planks would disintegrate. And so in the 1890s, there's a story of a horse sinking through into one of these old Chinese-made sewers. So there were things that they made. What have you heard?
I saw something about there being a tunnel behind the Egyptian theater screens, and then somebody said it was sealed up in like the 1940s. But like you said, somebody's grandpa said that they've seen the tunnels underneath. Well,
there was a story I read, of somebody reflecting on what their grandfather had said. This person was old in the 1970s, so their grandfather was really old. And the grandfather had said, basically, he's like, I went down, I forget what the building is they went under, it's now gone, but I went down there, and there they were on their cushions, and they were smoking their pipes and petting their cats. I'm like, what? They're not fucking leprechauns. Like, it's like making it sound like... And he's like, there were hundreds of rooms, and each room was really small, and they would enter like this, and they'd go smoke their pipes. And yeah, I'm like, dude, yeah, you were hotboxing in that fucking room. That's what you were doing, Grandpa. Yeah.
Have you ever been part of a seance, or have you ever had any paranormal experiences?
I think I want it too bad.
You got scared at Stripper Ranch.
I did, but I didn't really believe. I don't get scared of shit, man. Yeah, I was a little scared. So I was lucky enough to go to Edinburgh, and I was in the vaults underneath the city because it was illegal to be homeless, kind of like now. Sorry, I speak my mind. Anyway, so they would seal them in these underground vaults, and in this most haunted place in the world, supposedly, I went to the Linda Blair tour. I was like, if the chick from The Exorcist says it's good, I'm going to go on that one. And they took us to a place where there was a serial killer that killed women under there. And they wouldn't let women go into the room because women would get bruised up. And so there's this little concrete block and a little like iron eye, and they said they hanged him from that. So I was walking by this little block. The women are all in the entrance looking in, and I walked by this block where they hanged him. I started feeling nauseous, and I tripped. And so the guy asked me, he's like, "Hey, did you just feel nauseous?" I was like, "Yeah." "Yeah, what?" He's like, "Oh yeah, the guy got sick there, and he fell down and got sick." I was like, "Okay, well that's a coincidence." But I did go home to my hostel and turn the lights on, and I watched Gremlins. I was like, I'm not scared. It was October, and I was kind of creeped out. Because you have to walk by, everything in Edinburgh is a cemetery, Yeah, so then I got really fucked up with a bunch of Finnish dudes that were with the UN the next night. And I went into this cemetery, which was supposed to be the most haunted place. And I was just like, after the Finnish dudes ditched me in the cemetery, thanks, guys. I went up to this grave. I was like, I'm not scared of you. So I tried to regain my pride. But yeah, I was scared, man. Yeah. So that's probably the only supernatural thing that ever happened to me. I go to the prison. I know the names of the people that died in those cells. And I go in, I'm like, hey, Quentin Dickey, how's it going? Hanging around. And, I don't know. Nothing will haunt me. I get a good, IPA in me, and I get a little brave. But, yeah. Yeah.
I've seen you post videos about going to the Idaho City cemeteries. Have you been to the underground tunnels there?
No.
You want to?
Fuck yeah.
I can get you in.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, creepy guy I don't know, I'm game. Your friend looks like Harry Potter, so I'm game. I'm with you. Yeah, well, talk to me after. I for sure want to. Yeah. All right, thank you. If you have any ideas for a story that we could do, let us know. I usually don't do them, but maybe I will.